Hey everyone, Susan Garrett here. I know I promised you I was going to give you 3 webinars, but hey, guess what? You have 4. I was at a dog trial on the weekend and a lot of things running through my mind. I decided to put these slides together to give to you a webinar that shows you how to become a more consistently successful dog trainer. And I go through some choices that you're going to make, some stepping stones to take you to where you want to be. And then at the end, I go over 5 keys that I think are important to build a framework around in order to help further your dog training education. I hope you're going to like it.
Please. Here again with one more webinar I just had to share with you. This one on the pathway to consistent excellence in dog training. Have you ever noticed it seems like all the really amazing dogs seem to go to the same people? It's like they can do no wrong. Every dog that they get, it seems, is more wonderful than their last. It's as if they're getting luckier and luckier with every dog they own. Or could it be something more than luck?
You know, I've been very blessed in that every dog I have ever owned has won at least one national championship or world championship in the sport of agility. Since 1996, I've been winning I've come in the top 3 at national and world championships more than 50 times. And before that, for a 10-year period, I helped set world records in the sport of flyball.
It's a consistency in training that brings success. And I'm sure there's many, many pathways to this consistency. I'm going to share with you mine. It starts what I consider the scientist level, studying operant in classical conditioning and how the laws of learning affect behavior. It's strictly science. Here, the scientist understands why it works and potentially the academic way of going about it, but they don't have the practical approach. And that's where the next evolution happens, and that's pure clicker trainer, where they've applied the practical application of this science. The limitation I see at this stage, though, is the focus on operant conditioning almost exclusively to create the desired responses they want from the dog. Often it's used as an approach in pet dog market or potentially lower levels of competition, but it's rare, if ever, that you see an elite level competitor with this kind of an approach, because there's little consideration to the impact of classical conditioning, and therefore drive states of the dogs aren't considered and definitely aren't manipulated. The next stage I call the performance-driven stage. Here, a trainer will use innovative games to maximize the benefits of both classical and operant conditioning in the training. There is a constant and vigilant awareness of the dog's state of drive and how to manipulate this drive to create the desired response, both from the family pet and from the elite competitive dog trainer. I've got to tell you, if I never stepped into a competition ring with a dog again, I would raise my puppies exactly the same way I raise them today, because our program is built entirely on what makes a phenomenal family pet, because it's been my experience that those same behaviors create an amazingly gifted competition dog. But we need to continue and move forward. And we move to the state that I call the consistent and sustained excellence. It's a consistent application of performance criteria because the trainer is always being a dog trainer. They recognize how their everyday life that they live with their dog at home affects his performance in the ring and vice versa. Recognizing and exploiting the strengths within each dog allows this trainer to overcome any or minimize any of the shortcomings that the dog has. And that's where you can take just about any dog and make it brilliant. Gone are the days of trainers having to go through dog after dog after dog to find the perfect one for their sport. If you achieve a consistent and sustained level of excellence, you know that you can bring out the best in a dog by minimizing what you don't want to see. And this to me is shown so dramatically with my 2 dogs, Decaf and Buzzy. So Decaf is my 11-year-old and Buzzy is my 15-year-old. Opposite ends of the spectrum. Decaf was very worried as a puppy, wouldn't take food. My staff and students actually called her Deke the Freak as a young dog. She went on not only to win many national titles, but international. She won world championships. And at the other end of the spectrum, some of you may have met Buzz through my book, Shaping Success, where I describe my life with him and my journey from him being a puppy. He was manic. He was very, very high. He is the only dog that's ever left me in tears, and he did it on more than one occasion when I was trying to train him. Recognizing when you achieve a consistent and sustained level of excellence, you're going to exploit the strengths. Buzzy's strengths were his power and his drive. Decaf's strengths was her efficiency and her ability to turn tight. By making the most of both of those, these two dogs had unbelievable careers in agility. Where you are you at right now with your dog, you may be at a decaf end of a spectrum, you may be at a buzz end of a spectrum, or you may be dealing with challenges of your own that I have yet to face. Wherever it is, you might think that the hill seems steep and the journey is endless, but you've got to trust me. It all is going to come into place quite nicely for you.
Each of us only has a finite number of training days available to us with our dogs.
It seems that they're puppies only for a brief period of time, and then they move into the adolescent stage where we're getting closer to starting our serious training for our competitive events. And before you know it, their career is over and retirement hits. The limited time we have to train our pets is as precious as the dogs themselves. To make the most of the limited time you have, you need to become an effective and efficient dog trainer. Now, I choose to be a trainer who trains without the use of any physical or verbal corrections. So, at the core of my training, at the core of what I consider any effective training, is the strategic use of reinforcement, which creates a dog that has this amazing focus for you. They want to work with you. And then this focus can transfer over to a focus for their work. And the whole package is expressed as a brilliant relationship between dog and owner. Our dogs deserve our best, which includes making the best of our training time together. Effective and efficient training is a consistent and practical application of the scientific principles presented within a framework that focuses on maximizing the dog's drive and the dog's self-control. That is effective and efficient training. My last two agility dogs, my two youngsters, who are 3 years old and 7 years old, those two dogs each took less than 2 total hours of training to teach them unbelievable weave skills. 2 total hours. One dog I trained in 4 days, one dog I trained in 5 days. And when I say spectacular weave skills, I mean spectacular. Now, I'm going to compare that to my very first two agility dogs, Shelby and Stony, on the bottom right here. It took me 2 hours of training a week for the better part of a year to get them to a point where they were satisfactory in their weaving. Night and day compared to where Encore and Feature are today. Why is that? It's the evolution of my training to a point that it's become effective and efficient. Effective and efficient training sessions are rarely longer than 3 to 5 minutes. When I was training Encore and Feature in their weave sessions, I promise you, most of the sessions were under 2 minutes in length. Effective and efficient training produces results that are inspiring for others. People will say, wow, I wish my dog was as great as your dog. I wish my dog was as well behaved as yours. I can't believe what a great family pet you have. Your dog is going to work with the same drive and focus for you as if he were chasing a squirrel in your backyard. That is effective and efficient training. It isn't just about training a skill, because any scientist can teach an animal that, right? But can any scientist compete at the elite level of sport? There's something more. It's training the dog to be consistently brilliant, awe-inspiring work.
With only a finite number of days available to us with each of our dogs, it's almost our obligation to become effective and efficient, because that frees up our time for the more important things in life, like spending quality time with our dogs and our family.
We have this finite number of dog training dollars available to us as well.
Knowing this, we have to consider the opportunity cost of that money before we spend it.
Now, Wikipedia will tell us that opportunity cost is that cost related to your next best choice available when you have to choose amongst several similar events. And that cost doesn't have to just be monetary. It can be your time, it can be your impact on your family, etc.
Let's look at a decision you may make while you're trialing your dog. A broken start line or a dog leaves a contact early. Is it just the cost of your entries at stake here? Let's say your dog breaks a start line and you decide just to go. I'm going to run. The opportunity cost of saying, oh, that I'm going to stop and take my dog away and put them away because I'm letting them learn a bad lesson in the ring. The cost of that is your entry fee, which in North America is usually about $20. But the cost of going on is a lot more than that $20, as you may learn if you've done this, because the dog learns they can get away with things in the ring and your training deteriorates. So that opportunity cost was more than just your $20. The opportunity cost when you're trialing changes if you've had a fault. So let's say you leave your dog does a beautiful start line, and you lead out, he takes the first bar. You have a fault, you are not going to win. Doesn't that change? Because now the opportunity is I want to train the dog as effectively as I can in the ring. I'm going to, if the dog comes off his contact, now I might leave the ring. I'm far more likely to try a new handling maneuver because I've already lost my $20. The opportunity, there isn't as much at risk because I'm not going to qualify anyway. That's the interesting thing about the opportunity cost when you're trialing. Now let's look at training. Does paying someone $5 a week to go to an 8-week training class really have a low opportunity cost? Even if you added in your, say, $10 a week for gas, you still got to consider your 90 minutes of time getting to class, getting organized, going in the class, chatting for a little while at the end, and getting home. You've got to consider all these things when you're looking at the opportunity cost of an event. What price are you going to put on your time? And consider how effective what you're being taught as a way to create long-term control or enthusiasm or trust or teamwork with your dog. What is the cost of ineffective training on your dog's career? For his joy for work, or his drive to do as he's asked regardless if you have a treat in your hand or the threat of punishment? Is the opportunity cost really only that $5 per class? Or potentially having a dog that may or may not pass the class? Is that really the only opportunity cost in this example? What really is the opportunity cost of ineffective training advice for you and your dog? Now, consider this. At first glance, paying $5,000 for a 5-day camp to train chickens may seem like a ridiculous waste of money. Heck, Susan, you're a dog trainer. Why are you wasting your time playing with chickens? But guess what? That's exactly what I did. I spent $5,000 to work with Bob and Marion Bailey for 40 phenomenal hours of training. Now, let's compare these two events. On one hand, you have your $5 training class. You maybe spent $100 of your money and 12 hours of your time. Afterwards, you failed to achieve any real success with the dog unless you had a food lure in your hand or the threat of punishment if the dog was on a leash or within an arm's reach of you. The class itself had this aura of frustration and anger, and it drained you every week of your energy. Your dog became so frightened of certain pieces of equipment that he may never recover. 20 years later, if you're like me, you still live with the regret of what you put that first dog through. The $100 for the 8 weeks of class was a total waste of income, and nothing productive came from that time, let alone the waste of time that I spent being there. Now, let's look at my $5,000 investment in going to chicken camp for 40 hours of training. Much of the time was spent on learning how to hold a cup of chicken feed. I remember thinking, are we going to get on with something? But that taught me the importance of training mechanics. It was such a great lesson, although right in the middle of it, I might not have appreciated it. I learned how critical the concept of efficiency in training is. It was a great opportunity to network with like-minded people who wanted to train the way I want to train. And I had the unexpected benefit of this camp of learning some amazing teaching techniques that I still use today as an instructor. And you know what? 10 years since this chicken camp, I still refer to my notes. That $5,000 investment was easily made back on saved entry fees because I qualified more with my dogs. And obviously, that success has led me to being in a position where I can instruct others. The opportunity cost of that $5,000 was very, very low in hindsight. Because each of us only has a finite amount of training dollars available to us, perhaps you should stop looking at what you're paying to train your dog and consider what it's costing you. What is your current journey to becoming effective and efficient as a trainer costing you right now? Has the journey even really begun for you? You know, there are resources to help you. Effective and efficient training, in my opinion, happens in 5 minutes or less in every session. And that's really the foundation of our 5-minute formula to a brilliant recall. The program is my foundation of what I do with all of my new puppies, and I continue to do with my adult dogs, making the most of the finite hours that I have to train that dog. What is the opportunity cost of the 5-minute formula to a brilliant recall to you? Could it be that last missing piece of the puzzle on your road to success? And why would a very successful professional dog trainer who's already won multiple U.S. national championships in agility and has been a member of multiple U.S. world teams decide to take my 5-minute formula to a brilliant recall? And funny enough, why would a second professional dog trainer with multiple national titles and multiple selections to the U.S. agility world team make the same decision to join this program? And why would somebody choose a course like this and take it a second time? And why would more than 200 people sign up for this exact same course the second time? What is the going price of an epiphany these days? That's what happens with this course, and that's why people choose to take it. It's an effective, joyful training that can be done in only 5 minutes a day. What are people doing in the 5-minute formula? They're making the most of the finite hours of training time that they have with their dog. They're creating brilliance in their dog training while strengthening the relationship with every training session they have together. Now, how does this 5-minute formula work? Let me show you. This is just a peek inside our website. I'm pulling back the curtain and I'm letting you have a look. This is our welcome page. You can see it's like there's a social network. You can follow people that are on the course. One of the resources that people are downloading right now at this point is our record keeping journal. This is one of the many tools that we've put in place to help students to become the best they can be with the program. A lot of people have said, yeah, you talk about record keeping, but I never getting around to do it. This is helping them do it. And if you go to the course right now, there's 4 games that we call critical core games that are waiting there for them at the site that they can jump in and get going on them right now. And we have a little section here called Recallers. And here is where people all get together and they chat about the games or what's happening for them. There's a little section where they can ask me questions. It's a very, very supportive community. And that is one of the best things I love about teaching this course. I personally would be honored to coach each of you through this process. But even if that doesn't work out for you right now, and I would love to work with you at some point in your career, but if it's not today, I want you to have the framework to help you get started. So I'm going to give you 5 keys that I see are really important to help you get going on your road to becoming efficient and effective in your training. Number 1, please plan your sessions well and plan your mechanics. It's the fluidity of your mechanics that allow your dogs to learn quickly. And that really is what the advantage of the video lessons that we have online is that people can look at my mechanics and relook at them until they own them. Number 2, accept total blame. Never physically or verbally correct the dog. Learn to manipulate all reinforcement to create the response that you desire. Don't believe any instructor in any sport that tells you these corrections are harmless or these corrections are necessary. Please leave a class, leave the instruction of somebody who will tell you that. Number 3, learn how to alter your dog's drive, both the times you need more motivation and the times you require a more thoughtful dog. You've got to have an understanding of how to turn it on and turn it off for the dog. The truth is, if you came into my house right now, I've got 4 couch potatoes for dogs. They're just laid back, fun-loving family pets. You wouldn't think that they could accomplish anything in sport. That's not a time where I want them to be wild and crazy. They're great family pets. You've got to know, becoming an effective and efficient trainer, you've got to know when and how to turn the drive on when you need it, and how to teach a dog to become thoughtful when less drive is required. Number 4, please record keep your dog training, and then review those records and make the changes that you need to make before you go back to your training. Number 5, consider the opportunity cost of training decisions and make the best investment you can in your dog training future. Give it a lot of thought before you sign up for your next workshop. Certainly, there's a lot of brilliant resources out there. I'm just asking you to consider the opportunity cost to your dog training and to your dog, because it's that finite amount of training time that we have with them. Don't waste your money or your time. Seek out the best help you can. We have a finite number of training years with our dog and a finite number of training dollars available to us. If you will become purposeful, focused, effective, and efficient trainer for your dog will reward you with effort that will exceed any expectation you ever dreamt possible. And I've got to tell you, my D-Dog and Buzzy did just that for me, because I believed in their abilities and I became the kind of trainer that I needed to be for each one of those dogs. The 5-minute formula may be your answer, and I really hope you join us. Here's what I'd like you to do. Hit the Get It Now button to join us for a 5-minute formula to a brilliant recall, knowing this program is far more than just recall training. Learning how to become an effective and efficient trainer. And if a week from today, you say, this was such a mistake, you let me know and I'm going to make it right, and I'm going to refund your money. And I can say that with a great deal of confidence, because I know that this program is going to make a massive difference to you, to your family, and your dog.
Well, that's it, guys. 4 webinars. I know I only promised you 3, but this last one, it just had to get out. I hope you've enjoyed the webinars as much as I've honestly enjoyed presenting them for you. Thank you so much for the wonderful comments that you've left about the webinar series. And if you have any questions about the 5-minute formula to a brilliant recall, please leave it in the comment section and I will try to get to each and every one of them. Just a reminder, our program, the registrations do close down within 24 hours. So if you're considering it, I really hope you'll join us, because we've got a great community brewing inside the Recaller site right now. Thank you, and happy dog training to all of you.